I think from where I sit, one of the major success stories is the introduction of the Solidarity Missions in 2023. The Solidarity Missions simply bring together the heads of the EMBs to visit, their member countries who are undertaking elections, general elections in their countries. And so since 2023, we've embarked on solidarity missions. We've been to Liberia, we've been to Comoros, we've been to Namibia, to name a few. And I'm happy to note that we had a high-powered delegation in December last year, led by countries such as Malawi, Zimbabwe, Burkina Faso, to name a few. They visited Ghana as part of the solidarity missions. And their sole purpose is just to offer support to their colleague, head of the EMB and her team, because they have been there before. And so they come in to share experiences, to offer some support on their shoulder in that critical moment. So they were in Ghana 1 week ahead of the elections. They visited several of the polling stations, in Accra and out of Accra, but also spent time with us in the commission to basically offer support, to learn from us what was happening and to share some of their experiences. So for me, this has been one of the highlights. Additionally, we've been able to increase the membership drive, and today we have some 45 election management bodies who are members of the association, who have been issued with certificates and who are committed to the ideals of the association. Several. As you may be aware, this meeting was preceded by a 2-day forum of election management bodies, and the theme that governed our discussions was the all votes count, the problem of invalid and rejected ballots. And we all agree that this was a challenge, for many African countries, and for reasons ranging from the high illiteracy rates and other factors. And so after 2 days of discussions, several proposals have come forward. Some have proposed that e-voting could be the way. Others have also said that redesigning the ballots is also a way. Of course, in Ghana, we redesigned our ballots in 2020 to create enough space in between the candidates so that in case a person had a very long thumb, it did not leak into the second box for the ballot paper to be determined or to be declared as a rejected ballot. Others have also proposed a public education on how to vote in all languages, local dialects and the major working language. Others have also proposed the definition of what constitutes a rejected ballot, because very often you would find markings and stains on a ballot, but it doesn't affect the choice of the voter. And you still see the intention of the voter is very clear. But because people have, it has been long said that, when the ballot is stained and marked, it should be rejected. Although the intention of the voter is very clear, you see that that ballot is determined an invalid ballot or a rejected ballot. And so it's also been proposed that we define or redefine what constitutes a rejected ballot and orient our staff, our temporary staff who run the elections and manage the polling stations on what constitutes a rejected ballot. These proposals, we believe, will go a long way to minimize the high incidence of rejected ballots on the continent. From where I sit, I think it's a blot on our democracy that we still have a high incidence of rejected ballots on the continent. And I'm not sure that advanced democracies, this is an issue that would engage them at all. And so it's important for us as EMBs to work to ensure that every vote counts. It's not enough just to issue ballot papers to citizens who come to the polls, but it's important that we educate the citizens and do everything within our power to ensure that every vote counts and every vote matters. Thank you.
Back in 2010, in the last 15 years, we were proud to have the possibility to support at least 50 countries, mainly in Africa and the Middle East, with the funding of European Union and European Union member states, especially Italy, that is funding this initiative these days, but as well Germany, France, Ireland, Austria, Luxembourg, and Denmark. The way we work is through peer exchange and capacity development, especially on leadership and conflict management skills, and we provide advisory support through a number of copyrighted activity that we have implemented. Here we are supporting the Association of African Electoral Authorities and the African Union Commission through a memorandum of understanding we have signed with the Commissioner Bankole when it comes to contribute to the electoral integrity, preventing and mitigating electoral conflicts in Africa, and increasing the role of women and youth and disadvantaged groups in electoral processes. Here we were extremely proud to support the 9th Continental Forum on Electoral Matters that dealt with the rejected, invalid and disputed votes, including all the potential measures that can be taken using technology to deal and tackle with these issues. And we are happy to support this with the funding of Italy, as I was saying, and activities that we are implementing dealing with peer learning support missions and technical support missions in support of what the African Union Commission and the Association of African Electoral Authorities are doing. First of all, information communication technology, like any field of our daily life, has been dramatically changed by the use of ICTs. And our own opinion is that technology, if properly used and introduced, it is actually bringing an important increase of transparency and trust in the electoral process. But I underline if appropriately used and introduced, because in ill management of the introduction of technology that may be too fast, too close to an electoral process, or without the appropriate civic voter education activities for electoral stakeholders and competing actors on the electoral matters can understand the transparency of the electoral process. So that is, it has to be carefully managed. So you need the time in order to introduce this technology. Otherwise, any technological improvement related to electoral process are strictly related to the confidence that the electoral management bodies in questions enjoy through the public opinion and electoral stakeholders. So
it's serious because we want every vote to count. That's the meeting we are here for. Our elections at the time, we had some invalid vote. Ourselves had a lesson learned to see what happens with invalid votes. So I'm so pleased and glad to be at this meeting to see that the African countries can collaborate and hold this meeting, and to see that all votes should count. Because if all votes don't count, some citizens of the country will be disenfranchised. So we are trying to see for elections that are coming from various countries in Africa, like ours will come 2029. We are putting in place civil voters education. We are putting in place our legal reform to see how we can go around the country to see that all votes will count. We have biometric voter registration. We want to try to go to electronic voting. So we have to educate and we have to ensure that all votes will count in 2029. Yeah, like I say, through our legal reform, we are trying to see to take this thing to the school. We're trying to see through our legal reform to start sensitizing people, educating that will reach 18 for voting in 2029, so they can be ready and ensure. And then the takeaway would be our designs ballot to not confuse voters with regards to presidential, senatorial, and legislative elections, so we can make sure they are well satisfied, so we don't have all the invalid votes we have 2023.
From 2018, we discovered that we had almost 2.5% invalid or spoiled votes after the elections. And throughout what we have been doing so far, carry out sensitization, voters education, civic education, we discovered that in 2023 precisely, during the senatorial elections, the percentage dropped and we had about 1.2%. And with this, with the effort of this forum, and what we have gathered here, I think as we are preparing for our presidential election come October 2025, I'm going to carry out this information back home and see how I can organize more consultation with stakeholders using the different experiences I've tapped from other EMBs and other organizations like AU and other technical partners to see how we can make the situation better come our presidential elections of 2025.